started. And let me pop up, what are we going to start with? We're going to start with the syllabus. So let me get that up. All right. So welcome everybody to our first session of Gen Chem 2 Lab, online, obviously. The first couple of meetings we have are online. I'll go over that in the schedule, and then you'll be coming in once a week. Do note that there are two sections, O1 and O2. The syllabus I'm going to go over is for O1, but it applies to the O2 section as well. The only difference is that the O1 people, you come in on Tuesday, and the O2 people, you come in on Thursday. So your online and in-person dates will be switched. So just make sure on Blackboard, you know which section you're in and when you are going to do an online lab and when you're going to come for an in-person lab. So just make sure you are clear about that. All right, so who am I? I am Dr. Casey Andrews. If you want to reach out to me at any point during the semester, the best way to do that is my email, presented here, candrews@tamusa.edu. My office hours, I will be available after lab, so 2 to 3. I'm also available Monday, Wednesday, 12 to 1, and also basically any time that if you want to have a meeting, just email me with the time that you're thinking, and I will either say that's good or we'll work on a different time. The in-person class going to be in room STEM 321, so third floor of STEM, right near all the faculty offices. Class hours, Tuesday, Thursday, 11 to 1:45 p.m. Like I said, this is Gen Chem 2 Lab, so you should be taking Gen Chem 2 lecture at the same point unless you have special permission not to be enrolled in the lecture at the same time. So for our in-person labs, we have handouts, and those should be on Blackboard already. I will not be providing you copies. You should have a copy with you when you come to lab. If you don't have access to a printer at your place, there are plenty of printers available on campus. So make sure you come a little early and you can print it off. When you are doing the in-lab handouts, make sure you're doing it in pen and blue or black. I will not accept labs done in pencil or erasable pen. And there's a reason for that. In industry, when you're doing science, you don't want to act like you are hiding results or hiding data. So if you have it in pen, that's your proof of what you saw during that experiment and you didn't modify it. While in pencil, it is possible that you could erase it and change that data. So that is why we're trying to install that early, and all science programs do this across the nation. Your results, anything you write while in the lab should be done in pen. You should also have a calculator for this lab. You will be doing some calculations. All you need is a simple scientific calculator. You do not need a fancy graphing calculator. Like a TI-30 runs you like $11 maybe. Basically something that does a square root, something that does different, power X and all those good things. And by the way, I haven't said it yet, but if you have any questions during my presentation, feel free to put it in chat, or if you want to just talk, you can just raise your hand and I will unmute your mic. All right. So like I said, half the labs basically you do in person. The other half of the labs you'll be doing online. And the syllabus here has instructions for how to access the online labs. So your first online lab will be due next week. Your first virtual lab. We do have a lab on Tuesday that I already have up, and I'll show you that when we get to the Blackboard site. But your first virtual lab that's done through an outside program, that's next week, Thursday. So make sure, today would be best to go and click on the virtual lab link in Blackboard and try to sign up following these instructions. And I'll show you where that is found on Blackboard later today. So when you come to lab in person, you must have proper clothing for working in a laboratory environment. That means no sandals, no flip-flops, no Crocs. You have to have shoes that are closed and cover your foot. I know it is quite hot out, but no shorts or skirts. Your pants have to cover all of your legs. There can't be a gap between your pants and your socks. So make sure you just wear long socks if you do have pants that don't go all the way down. Your shirts have to cover everything, so no midriffs, no tank tops. Your shoulders have to be covered. And your pants can't have holes in them either. So just try to be covered basically from your wrists down to your shoes. Do you have to wear long sleeves? I would advise it, yes. You're gonna have to wear a lab coat. So technically you don't, but it would be good practice to do it. So if your lab coat is long enough, no, you don't have to wear long sleeves. That's the best answer for that. Goggles. So in lab, you have to wear goggles at all times. And you have to buy your own goggles. Due to the ongoing pandemic, we cannot rent out goggles. So make sure you pick up a pair of goggles. I think you can get them from the bookstore, or you can buy them from like Amazon for like 11 bucks. And if you are a science major, they're a pretty good investment. Like I bought my pair of lab goggles back in 2015 and they still do the job. So one-time investment, they should last you throughout your whole college career. If you come without goggles, I cannot let you do any of the lab work and you'll receive no credit for your experiment. So what I highly suggest is that however you get to lab, like if you drive or whatever, throw your goggles, throw long pants into your car, or have it in your bag that you bring to school. So no matter what, you'll always be prepared, and your lab coat as well. So lab coats, you have to wear one during lab activities. Again, we cannot rent out a lab coat. You have to bring your own lab coat. Like goggles, I cannot allow you to perform any in-person experiments if you do not have your lab coat on, and so you'll receive no credit. And facial masks should be worn at labs at all time. Due to the governor's proclamation like a month or so back, we cannot enforce mask policies anymore. So it's completely optional, but it's still good practice. And we will provide surgical masks for you while you're in the lab. So what is the point of this? Why are you taking this class? One, teach you how to be safe in a lab environment. Two, learn how to handle slightly dangerous chemicals. Three, the things you learn in lectures, you're actually going to see the practical application of some of those topics in lab. Four, be able to communicate in a scientific manner. Five, develop those critical thinking skills. Six, really strengthen your mathematical skills. And seven, teamwork. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to happen during the pandemic since you are going to be working alone. but you'll still be working around other individuals, which you might have not done for a while now. So at least you'll be able to talk to real human beings face to face. All right. So communication, like I said, the best way to contact me is the email up at top of the syllabus. I know you could also email me through Blackboard. Don't try that. Most of the times it doesn't get to me. I don't know where it goes. It just disappears. So just email me through email provided at top. When you email me, please use your university email. Don't send me a Gmail email. It has to be through your university account. If you are having problems accessing your email or Blackboard, I can't help you with that. That is something you have to discuss with IT. So attendance, you are expected to attend every single in-person lab. And if you have some kind of illness, death of close family, religious holiday, let me know, and we can excuse one lab period for that. However, if you have to miss more than one lab, then it's going to start counting against you. If you miss more than 3, you'll be heavily penalized. Make sure you are on time. Lab starts at 11, not 11:05, right? So make sure you are there ready to go. If you're late, you will be deducted points. Basically, every minute that you're late, you get marked down a point. Up to 20 minutes late, which is 40% of your grade for that day. If you show up after the 20-minute mark, you are no longer allowed to come into the classroom and you just get a 0. So make sure you are on time. Aim to be there like 10 minutes before at least. That's my good rule of thumb, to give yourself a little leeway. Late work. If you have work that's late, the way we're going to handle that is that you get 25% per day. That does include weekends. So, right, if so, our assignments are either going to be due Tuesday or Thursday. So if you do not turn your assignment in on Thursday and then you turn it in on Sunday, that's 75% off. If it's more than 3 days late, that's 100% off. So I'm not going to accept it at that point. The online assignments, they're already up. So you have plenty of time to do them. I will be around to help you with those as well. So there should be no excuses for not doing those on time. Lab partners, this is all individual due to COVID. So no lab partners. Conduct and behavior. Basically, for this class, we're not going to have exams. So really conduct and behavior is, treating others with respect while in the lab, being aware of your surroundings, not like throwing stuff, not running around, basically just acting like an adult inside the lab. We are dealing with some slightly dangerous chemicals, so it's very important that we all, be respectful and be careful while in the lab. So misconduct, if I have to, if it comes to that point, if someone's behavior is being disrupted, I'll go through the formal channels of reporting for academic misconduct. For lab, that's usually not a problem since we don't have exams and all that, but just be aware that is within my power to do that. Academic accommodations, if you need accommodations for anything, please do not ask me for those. I cannot give those. I said contact DSS, which is given in this number in email here. Learning Center, good for tutoring. If you need help with any subject, make sure you contact the Academic Learning Center for free tutoring. Also free counseling as well. That's available to you as a student. If you need, if you're having an emergency, there is also a 24-hour hotline number here. So just be aware that those resources are there for you. Emergencies, there is a JAGI alert system here on campus. So if there's any emergency, a notification should go through there. Financial aid, basically the 6-drop rule. I'm not going to read through all of that. That's basically on every single syllabus you've ever seen. Writing center, not going to do really writing in this class all that much, but the writing center is there for any courses where you do have a lot of writing. If you have difficulties for groceries or food, that's really going to affect your ability to do well in this class. So make sure you do reach out for support, contact the Dean of Students, and they can help you out with that. If you're a veteran or active duty, you are encouraged to talk to the offices of military affairs at the Patriots Casa, either in person, by email, or this phone. For religious holidays, you are allowed to obviously miss our work for those, and you'll just be given makeup assignments, or in this case, you'll be given data to make up. And here on Texas A&M San Antonio, we respect diversity. We respect students having diverse backgrounds and perspectives. So yeah, that just goes along with what I was talking about, being respectful and adult towards everybody. Sexual harassment, discrimination, I am a mandatory reporter. So if I hear anything about sexual harassment or discrimination, I must report it no matter what. So just be aware of that. And your student rights and responsibilities, all here, all boilerplate stuff. So feel free to read through that at your leisure. All right, so let's get to something that's more relevant for us. So these virtual labs, the way they're going to work is that you're going to access them, but you don't have to do them during the lab time, right? So if we have the virtual lab, for example, on Tuesday, you don't have to do it between 11 and 2. And I probably will not be able to help you during that time that much because I will be working with the in-person class at that time. But feel free to reach out to me if you do have questions about the virtual lab, anything in there, and I'll try to help out. Generally, what you want to do is read the background for the lab. If I post a video for the lab that goes over anything, be sure to watch it. Go to the lab website, collect data, do calculations, answer questions. Make sure you press your finish attempt to submit your work. If you don't submit it, I can't see it and I can't grade it. Questions, I'll be available for office hours or an appointment. And if you do this work late, deductions will be applied as we mentioned already. All right, so just as a reminder, this is the O1 schedule. Everybody's schedule is the same, both O1 and O2 for our first 4 meetings. Meetings 5 and 6 and onwards, that's when it gets different from O1 and O2. Basically, the dates are just switched. So the O1 folks are coming in class for 22nd, while the O2 folks will be doing a simulation. The O2 folks will be coming in person for the 24th. So just make sure you go on Blackboard, you know which date is which. For our simulations, on next week, Tuesday, we have an Excel online worksheet. This is not a simulation. You do not have to go to any other site than Blackboard to do this. I have the instructions set up already. You're going to be working with Excel. I will be online during that time on this same Zoom meeting room. So if you do have questions, not sure, feel free to pop in and you can share your screen with me and I can kind of see what's going on, what you might be doing wrong during that worksheet. 17th, That's when you go to the actual virtual labs for the actual link on Blackboard. So from the 17th onward, anytime it says online, you're going to be doing the online labs at the different site, which I'll show you how to do that. In-person data sheets. For the in-person labs, your data sheets are due before you leave, which should not be a problem. You should have plenty of time to do all that. Grading, relatively simple. You're going to have 13 experiments, 50 points each, 650 points. Your grade is how many points you got divided by 650 times 100. Grades are shown here. Pretty straightforward. Key dates. July 16th is the last date to drop with an automatic W. If you're doing poorly, like in a lecture, like just try to make that decision before the 16th. Generally after the 16th, I don't give W's unless it's like some kind of medical or family emergency or something like that. So just be aware if you're not doing well and you come to me like after the 16th and say like, well, I'm not doing well, I'm going to drop, can I get a W? Usually the answer to that is no. Because after that, I mean, that's past the automatic W date. So just be aware of that date. The academic calendar itself, where I'm getting these dates, are in this link provided here. And last on the syllabus, COVID-19. Although we are still, we're ending the pandemic more or less, it's dwindling down. COVID-19 is still around because 50% of the nation refuses to get a vaccine, so it's still going to be around. America, especially because the rest of the world isn't vaccinated either, so it's still going to be around for a little bit. And so we want to make sure that everyone's safe. Be aware that you can have this this illness without showing any symptoms, and you probably already did this, but you will have to complete a COVID-19 student training course if you haven't done so yet. If you're not feeling well for any purpose, if you have fever, cough, chills, please do not show up to lab. Let me know, and that shouldn't be a problem since this is a face-to-face class. If you aren't able to attend, I will most likely give you data, and we'll make it up from there. When you come to the classroom, make sure you wash your hands. Try to stay 6 feet away from others at all times if possible. The seats are spread out, so that shouldn't be a problem. You are highly encouraged to wear a mask. I will be wearing one, even though I'm vaccinated. I think everybody should do the same at this point. And yeah, that's pretty much it about the syllabus. We'll go over safety in a minute we'll go over the Blackboard site first and then do our safety presentation. But before I move on for that, any questions people might have about the syllabus itself? If not, let me pull up the Blackboard site and just a few things to go over about the Blackboard site. All right, so here, announcements. Anytime I make an announcement, it'll be here. And I will try to remember to email that out as well. Your syllabus is here, both for the 01 and 02 groups. Course content. Here at the very top is that online lab simulations I was talking about, where this is where all your online labs are going to be, except for the first one. The first one here for Excel is just a document. And when you finish it, please turn in your Excel sheet to this Turnitin link. The rest of the labs are already posted here. So these are all your in-person labs. Again, this is for the O1L. Make sure you print these out before coming to lab, and you're going to be handing me the data sheet. Other than that, there's not much for you on the Blackboard side. Of course, your grades. So I'll be putting all the grades up on Blackboard so you know where you're at all times in this class. If you have questions about setting up the online lab simulation account, please let me know. Don't wait till the last day to do that. I would definitely try to do it. If not today, then sometime, Friday or this weekend, try to hammer that out. Right, so that is the Blackboard site. Now, the last thing we have to cover is the online safety for working in the lab. So let me pull up that PowerPoint. And get that off. And share that. All right. So safety. So I believe we still have the wellness check stations when you come to the lab. I haven't actually been on campus since the fall, but my understanding is that they're still there. So just make sure you get your temperature scanned when you come to campus. Make sure you give yourself a couple minutes to go through that station. Try to maintain social distancing as best as you can in the lab. I know it's not easy to do in a lab setting. Just be aware and try to stay 6 feet apart. When you enter the lab, there's going to be this cubby rack right on your left. You want to put your bags there. Don't bring your bags to your workstation. That's a trip hazard. So just put them in this cubby. Wash your hands, get a pair of gloves. If you want masks, we'll have them there. So just grab a mask and a bag, a disposable plastic bag. While in lab, you cannot wear your own mask. You have to wear the surgical mask. So once you have your equipment, move to the workstation, take off your personal mask, put it in the bag, and wear your disposable mask if you choose to wear one. Make sure you also have a pen, your printed out handout, goggles, and lab coat and ready to go. Just as a reminder, if you're not wearing the proper clothes, I will not let you into lab. So mask use, voluntary. Happy to be wearing our mask in the lab. And then when you leave, please change it with your own personal mask. So tips for putting on a mask. I feel like most of us are pretty well versed in this at this point. But just so you know, you should wash your hands before you put on your mask. Try not to touch the mask. If you sneeze in it, try to replace it. Make sure there's no holes and no gaps. It's super funny to me still when you see people walking around with a mask and they don't cover their nose, which, what's the point of that? There's no point in wearing a mask if you're not covering your nose. So make sure you're covering your nose and your chin. When removing your mask, make sure you wash your hands, take it off by the rings, and either put it in a paper bag if you want to reuse it or throw it away. So daily routine, come in, there will be disinfecting wipes and spray. So just clean your work area. And then after you're done, make sure to clean your work area again, because we are running a couple summer labs this year. So, and we only have one chemistry lab room. So we're going to make sure we're going to disinfect our area before we work and after we work. So your routine, if you have any glassware, make sure you wash it before you leave. So soapy water, tap water, and then deionized water. So this DI water is going to be in its own special container. usually in a bottle with a blue top. We don't need acetone. But the big thing that people always forget is to put it back where you found it. There are above the sink, there's like drying rods where you can put your glassware to dry. Do not leave it there. That is incredibly annoying when I usher the last person out of lab and then I have to put away like 40 pieces of glassware. So just make sure you put it away after drying it. Don't leave it up there to dry and leave. And again, make sure you disinfect your work area. Clean your hands while leaving. When you leave the classroom, don't wear your PPE out. So don't have your lab coat on, don't wear your gloves, don't have your goggles on. Make sure those are all removed before you leave the lab area. Even if you're just going out to use the bathroom or whatever, don't walk around with your lab coat on. Inside the lab, no food, gum, or drinks whatsoever. If you have food, it has to stay in your bag and stay in the cubby. Same thing with water bottles, right? No application of lip balm or cosmetics. The big thing for me is that you cannot wear contact lenses. Make sure you are wearing your glasses. There's a practical reason for that. If a chemical gets into your eye and it gets behind your contact lens, you're not washing that out. So don't wear your contact lenses. Or I've heard of a horror story of a contact lens fusing to a student's eyeball. Not good. So no contact lenses. And again, make sure you are trying to stay distant at all times. Chemicals, don't eat them. Don't touch them with your skin. Don't smell them. We're working with acid this semester, I believe. That stuff hurts. So don't treat it like the dangerous chemical it is. If you have long hair, please have it restrained. Don't have it out just flopping around. If you have a very long beard, you also have to tie it up. I've never seen that yet, but if you have a quarantine beard, make sure it is tied up. Again, just be respectful. Don't push, shove, run, anything in the lab. And there's a prep room connected to the lab. Do not go in there ever, unless I tell you. Just stay in the lab area. So we already went over this in the syllabus, but again, make sure you have long pants. Make sure your shoes completely cover your foot. Make sure you have a lab coat. If you forget your lab coat, I cannot let you do the lab. These are examples of shirts that are not good. So showing midriff, showing shoulders, you cannot wear those. Again, pants, the biggest issue I've seen with pants are definitely the holes in the pants and like the 3/4 pants. So definitely you cannot wear holes in your pants. If you want to be stylish with these 3/4 pants, that means you just have to wear long socks that cover up your pants. So just be aware, I will be on the lookout for that. And it seems every semester I have to tell somebody, please pull up your socks because I can see your ankles. Definitely no shorts and no skirts that don't go all the way down as well. No flip-flops, no open-toed shoes, no shoes that don't cover your foot. They have to be covering your foot. Again, long hair, make sure it's tied back. Lab coat. So this is not so obvious, but when you're wearing your lab coat, make sure it's buttoned up. Otherwise, you're not protecting your chest. So your lab coat has to be buttoned up, and make sure you get a lab coat that's actually the right size. This one's a little too tiny and that all of his skin is being exposed. Make sure it's long enough that it can go to where your gloves are. And here's somebody wearing proper PPE. You can see basically from the neck down, no skin is showing. Shoes are good, proper lab coat length. Lab coat is buttoned up, so all good to go. Make sure you're wearing gloves at all times when working in the lab as well. Well, when we're working with chemicals, that is. Goggles are required. You have to buy your own. They have to be over your eyes during the lab. Don't put them on your forehead because you're not protecting your eyes. You cannot wear like safety like construction goggles. Those are not safety goggles. And so make sure you're getting safety chemical goggles. Here's an example of proper goggles. Basically, you want what's called indirect vent. Direct vent means that there's an opening right from your eye to your vent. And so any chemical that splashes on top here will go directly into your eye. So you want what are called indirect vent. If you have questions about like, you're going to buy goggles for the first time online and you're not sure, send me the link. I can look at that. Otherwise, the bookstore definitely has goggles. Last time I checked, at least, that should be the right type of goggles. Again, you don't need to protect your forehead. You need to protect your eyes. No safety glasses because they don't do anything. So shown here, we have different goggles with a mannequin head that you just throw paint on. You can see all the safety glasses. You basically get stuff in your eye. But your chemical splash safety goggles, the one that we want you to buy, your whole area is protected, which is what you want. We want you to leave the lab being able to see. That's the hope. Safety equipment. Let me tell you where all the safety equipment is because obviously we're not in the lab. So on the door that you come in, here we're going to have the SDS sheets. These are all the safety data sheets for all the chemicals we use in the lab. There's also a first aid kit and emergency phone numbers. So for whatever reason, if you need the first aid kit and I can't administer it, it's there on the door. Speaking of which, if there's any cuts, anything at all happens in the lab, you have to tell me. And unfortunately, I have to tell the university police department. And even if it's just a cut, they have to call an ambulance. It's ridiculous, but they have to. So be super careful in a lab because I would really hate for you to like get a cut on your finger and it could be fixed with a Band-Aid, but then they have to call an ambulance. So a little ridiculous, but that is a policy right now. Behind the whiteboards that are going to be in the front of the room, that's going to be our spill kit. So if a chemical spills, that's where we're going to find those chemicals. And next to the prep room is going to be the fire extinguisher. Again, all of these things you should never have to use, but you should know where the location of them is in the extremely rare case that you do have to use them. And that's a different room, so we don't need to worry about that. So fume hood, and if we need to use the fume hood, there's an arrow on our fume hoods that say maximum height. And there's a sliding glass sash. Basically, anytime you use a fume hood, do not go above this arrow. If you do, the fume hood will be making an annoying alarm sound that we don't want to happen. Also, don't put your head in the fume hood. The idea of a fume hood is that it's sucking out air. So any dangerous chemicals, any fumes are getting blown out. So putting your head in the fume hood kind of defeats that purpose. Any equipment in the fume hood, you don't want the wire to ever going through this, through the top of it, because then you cannot close the sash. Instead, this little white bar actually opens up. Doesn't look like it should, but it does. It folds out. You can put any power cord through the gap that will show itself when you fold it out, plug it in, and now you could close the fume hood perfectly. Fire. So I believe we do use fire this semester. The thing about fire on our Bunsen burners is that it's so hot, you can't see it. So make sure you're very careful with a Bunsen burner. Make sure that this is why your hair should be tied back. Keep things away from the Bunsen burner that are not supposed to go in the Bunsen burner. Do not turn your back on a Bunsen burner. That's a good way to catch yourself on fire. Do not walk away from a Bunsen burner while it's on. Make sure that you turn it off before leaving. Just be very, very careful, as that is probably our biggest hazard this semester, if we need to use it. So just be aware of it and respect it. Chemicals. Any chemicals we use that are dangerous, I will let you know beforehand. But there are safety data sheets if you are curious about what the chemicals we use in lab can do to you. So make sure you look at those at the main entrance store if you would like to. In this lab, don't do anything that you are not told to do. Don't mix chemicals. Always ask if you're not sure. It's always better to ask me and then instead of doing something and then say, whoops. So just ask. That's what I'm here for. Waste disposal. I will tell you how to dispose of chemicals throughout the lab. Some stuff cannot go down the sink, and so we have special containers for those. So just be aware of that. Be thoughtful of what to do with the waste. If you're not sure, always ask me. We don't want to ruin the environment through our chemistry lab. So we want to be very careful about what we do with our chemicals after we are done. If you break anything, let me know. It happens every semester. Don't feel bad about it. There is a box of broken glass, and I will take care of it. Just let me know and I will sweep it up. Don't pick it up with your hands, please. Also, in this glass disposal box in the room, don't throw regular trash in it. That's only for glass. Anything that happens in the lab, let me know. Please, please, please let me know. I'm not one to get angry. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to make you feel bad. But I do need to clean it up, and I have to make sure everyone is safe. So always tell me. Common lab accidents that are going to happen. Spills. If you get chemicals in the eye, we have eye wash. If you get chemicals on the skin, we do have a shower. Trips, cuts, first aid kits. I don't think a chemical ingestion is a common lab accident because that does not happen on accident. So don't eat chemicals and don't smell chemicals. Here's the eye wash station. If you get something in your eye, the procedure is you have to hold your eyes open while it sprays you with water, and you do that for about 10 to 15 minutes. So that's why it's very important to be wearing goggles. The safety shower as well. So the thing about the safety shower is don't pull it unless you have to, because it releases a lot of water and there's no drain underneath the shower. At least I don't think there is. So that's a good way to flood the room. And I will be very angry if you do that without a reason. So only pull that shower lever if you get something on you and you need to. Any emergency, of course, get outside. There's 2 sets of stairs leading outside from our lab. So when you exit the lab, go either way. You only have 2 ways to decide on where to go. Each way will lead you to a stairway to get outside. Any emergency, you can use a university phone inside the lab and dial 911. You can also use your cell phone to dial for non-emergencies and emergency purposes. Also, the Safe Zone app you can use, and emergency personnel will get your general location. If there's a fire, we will exit in a calm and orderly manner. not running, leave your stuff in the lab. I will lead you out to the door and to the stairs. Again, if for some reason I cannot lead you out, either hallway you leave from will lead you to the stairs eventually. Don't use the elevator right across from the lab. If there's a fire, we'll be pulling the fire alarm on the way out. And just stay with me so I can get a head count. If there's any emergency announcements, pay attention. And again, assemble with me. And I'll lead you out to the evacuation area that's in the parking lot right next to the building, which is shown here. We are in the STEC or STEM building. So we're just going to go right out to the parking lot, right next to where you can drive into the parking lot. We're going to head out there. There's a fire extinguisher in the lab. You are never required to use it, and only use it if you know how to use it and if you're not endangering yourself by using it. And always ask if you have any questions whatsoever. And that's pretty much it. So I believe there will be a safety sheet I will have to have you sign. I don't have those right now. I have to talk to our lab managers about that. But any questions about anything we went over today? All right. If not, you don't have anything due for today. So your first assignment, it's on Tuesday. That's going to be learning how to use Excel. So that'll be due midnight on Tuesday. If you have any questions while doing that, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help. Otherwise, have a good weekend and stay safe out there. And I will see you in a couple weeks in person. Have a good day, everybody.